Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It's great to see you this morning. Happy Wednesday. 2 days in a row. It's snowing behind me, but it's not really snowing outside. I hope it's a better weather day for you all. It was a crazy windy night last night for us, but nothing bad happened. So, what more can one ask for, right? Nothing bad happening. Kirsten, happy Wednesday. Great to see you. Yeah, and Kirsten says, I hope everybody fared well through the heavy winter weather yesterday. It was something, wasn't it? I was half expecting for the school to be delayed today. I had my sound machine on very low because I was thinking we might get that automated call from the city. They call like so many times and they ping your phone. It's just like, and it's at a crazy hour. But it didn't come. It settled down for us. I hope it's all settled down for you all too. Robin, great to see you. You just finished shoveling again. Oh no, happy Wednesday in Wisconsin. Sharon, great to see you. Hello in Vancouver. You actually saw crocus leaves coming out in the garden. Ooh, but there's supposed to be snow tomorrow. Well, it's a good thing it's one of those winter flowers, right? It's just giving you a hint of things to come. See that weird noise, if you can hear that, that's the wind hitting the siding of this building. Do you hear that buzzing noise? I hope that's not going to be. That's actually crazy. That's Wizard of Oz crazy. I hate it when it does that. I hate that. Yeah, wild weather. But good, the crocuses are a good sign. They can't be a bad sign, right? And they're so hardy. They're gonna make it in the end. I was reading about tulips because I was working on one of my articles for the Magpie Times, and yeah, I was reading about tulips, and tulips are the flower of the Netherlands, right? And I was born over there, although I didn't grow up over there. I lived over there as an adult, and I like tulips. They've never been my favorite flower because I just feel like they immediately die. They are super pretty, when they come up all crazy. I love the colors. I love all the stripy ruffles and all the things that they can do. But I think they ended up calling the striped rose the Rembrandt variety. But I didn't know that tulips were buried, the bulbs, so deeply into the ground to avoid weather. That's why there's such like stout flowers. They're buried really deep, and yeah, I mean in the Netherlands it rains constantly. It's more rain than anywhere in the Western world, literally, because it's under lots of different weather systems. It's right under. So it's not like it's like, oh, it rains a lot in the UK, yeah, but not like the Netherlands. Oh, it rains a lot in Washington. Oh, not like the Netherlands. But for that reason, those bulbs need to be so hardy, and they do go really really deep into the ground, so that it's by the time they do come up, it's safe for them to come up, and they seem to know. Of course, the Netherlands doesn't get, at least in around Amsterdam, they don't get the kind of crazy weather where the Keukenhof Garden is with all of the tulips and all of the flowers out. That's like a world destination spot. So fun. It is time to think about flowers. And I certainly have been for the magazine and for the articles that I'm doing. Just some short little articles too, like little columns here and there on specific flowers, just as kind of a segue to be able to put a free pattern in there too. But yeah, I'm learning things I certainly didn't know before because I have never been I don't want to say I've never been a green thumb because I haven't tried. I might be a fluorescent green thumb, and I just don't know it yet. We'll have to see. Kaz, great to see you. Good morning in Wisconsin. Your arms hurt from all of that shoveling, I bet. I can see you out in your driveway doing all of that shovel. I can see that clearly. Oh, I'm sorry though. That is a lot of exercise, and you certainly don't need that kind of exercise. You are so fit already. The snow was so wet and heavy. Oh man, I'm sorry. For us, it was that really light, fluffy snow. It was the great snowman snow, but then it poured raining and everything got slushy, and now it's in the 50s today. So it's all gone. It's fun. Isn't it funny? The pendulum swings. Rita, good morning. Good to see you. Cindy, good morning. Good to see you. Kirsten says, we hear the buzzing. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't last. It seems to have passed for the moment until the next great gust. Oh dear, hang on, Dorothy, exactly. Sometimes I wonder whether this building, how well made it is. Do you know what I mean? When it's buzzing all around me, I'm thinking, is the top going to come out and I'm going to be like sucked out? Like, oh, God forbid. That would be one of those it was your day for sure scenarios, right? Dave, great to see you. Happy Wednesday. Jane, great to see you. Happy Wednesday. Bumblebee, hello, great to see you. Happy Wednesday. Oh, it's great to see everybody. I had so many things to tell you. I got busy this morning. I got really busy this morning. I did a lot of stupid fool's errands, which can happen. Aren't those the best, the fool's errands? I like to do things in person because I just feel like I get more clarity with things like magazine printing if I go and ask questions in person. And I drove to a place this morning right after I dropped the kids off at school because Judy and I are talking about weights of paper and things like that. And I'm thinking, yeah, I don't speak that language. I don't really know what we're talking about. I don't want to say yes or no to anything when I really don't know what we're talking about. So I thought, well, what if I went to a print shop? It would, number one, be great to get some pricing from like a Ma and Pa type local print shop. So I looked one up and, oh, this is the best one. So I drove to it after I dropped the kids off. And when I got to the address, I realized it was in the center of New Haven. And I mean, I have no problem driving in the cities, but it was one of those streets where there was only street parking and there was no parking. And I thought, man, even if I find a spot, then the next thing is going to be to find one of those stupid machines where you put in your license plate and your credit card. And I'm like, oh, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. And then I started thinking, man, I wish that there was a Google feature where you could search for a business and the filter is, do you have a parking lot? I mean, right? When you live near cities, it's like, so then I started searching for a different printing place on, on the basis of, are they likely to have a parking lot? So I found another one that got great reviews, Ma and Pa place, like, oh, they've been in business for 50 years. They're great. Use them. So I drove way, way over to the other side of town because this is a huge city where I live. And they're closed permanently. So that was amazingly great. And then I went over to a different press that you weren't supposed to go to in person. It was like the corporate office. But I went anyway. Knocked and the girl was super gracious. She opened the thing for me and I said, can we just like talk about like printing, what it costs, what it looks like. Show me the size. Show me the size. Show me the size in my face. I want to hold stuff in my hands and show me the paper in my hands, And she was super, super gracious. She showed me so I understood what paper weights were, what the covers were, and she's going to run a bunch of scenarios for me. So yeah, got there in the end. But those kinds of days, right? It major wind up of a morning so far this morning. But I have to say, not as bad as yesterday because I started off yesterday by dropping the kids off at school and driving over a traffic cone and I couldn't get it out from under the car. It was great. I thought it was ruining like the carriage of the car. I had to pull into the principal's parking space because it was the only one that was empty. And people are like waving to me like, you can't park there. And I was like, I'm parking here. And I got out and I'm like trying to discreetly while all of the other parents who are super normal are walking by and saying hi, and I'm on my hands and knees trying to pull this stupid cone that I have completely abused out from under the car, and it would not come because they're kind of rubbery. And so I had to go inside and say, because I had been there the day before when Teddy accidentally went to school with his pajamas on. It was like the delay, and I wasn't watching, and I had to go back to school to drop off his pajamas. This was Monday, and say, Teddy accidentally came to school in his pajamas, and I'm wearing my pajamas, which I was. And then the next day I had to go inside to the office and say, I drove over the traffic cone. And they said, this part is hilarious. They said, we're going to send Mr. Suds out to help. Mr. Suds is the janitor. I'm not joking. The name of the janitor is Mr. Suds. Seriously. So Mr. Suds came out after a long time and he like pulled the cone out of the car and I was like, do you think the car is okay? And he was like, car is okay, but the cone's seen better days. And I was like, let's move on. I'll tell you. Oh God, I just gotta stay home. That's the moral to the story. Jane, wonderful news on the pre-order of the book. You are right. Thank you for pre-ordering. There were a ton of pre-orders last night. We actually bumped the number up already for like the number of books that I will get. So I'm excited about that. And this is the Design Like an Artist book that's coming out with Rug Hooking magazine. It's on the nose. It's not funny, Judy. Talk about like living your destiny, right? When you get a name like that, maybe it is part destiny, just part coincidence, but it seems like you are destined to spend a good part of your life with a bucket of soapy water. If your name is Mr. Suds, right? I don't know. Catherine, it's just the things that come at me are so crazy, you know. And Jocelyn was screaming with the cone thing. She was screaming something's under, and I thought, oh my God, did I hit someone? Am I dragging them? And my bad nature, my instinct was to hit the gas instead of like stopping short, because I didn't see anybody go under the car. But luckily, it was the cone. So yeah, and I said, do you want me to, pay for the cone? And they were like, you can't imagine how many cones go down in this parking lot. And I was thinking, actually, I can imagine because you have cones set up in the most illogical places. It's almost like you're daring people, right, to run over the cones. So I'm not surprised. It wasn't good. It wasn't. It was a very stressful start to the day, and again today. But yes, very good news on that second book. That is coming out. Mark wrote right before I came live, and he said, all good. He's got all the stuff he needs. I needed 2 more images from people who had submitted images, and I was afraid I was not going to reach both people in time to get the thing turned back around. Both worked out. So he is 100% complete on the images that he needed. And I think I caught everything that was wrong. If not, it's good enough, right? And yeah, it's going to be a great book. It's a beautiful looking book, and a lot of you have work in that book. And I wrote on the Facebook page yesterday, like a huge thank you, because I don't know if I will get to do a dedication page with this book. They're always, really concerned about the page count because pages equal money. I'm learning that right now with putting the magazine together, but they really do. But I wrote on the Facebook page yesterday, a huge, that the book was available on pre-order on Ribbon Candy Hooking. As soon as I get it, it will ship. I'm just going to say this, even though it's common sense. I can't ship it before I get it, and it's not printed yet. It should be printed, I would think, this week based on Rebecca's timeline, because she had the last book out, I think. And as soon as she proofed it, she got the copies like 2 weeks later. So I think they finished proofing it, laying it out. They did have some work to do, but it goes right to press, and it goes right to the people in the book club. And when it ships that way, it ships my way too, at least in theory. And as soon as I get them, I forward them to you all. And for those of you who are international, I am going to, just so you know, so Jane, a lot of buddies in Canada, Linda Ann, if you are international and you bought the book, I am going to see how much the shipping costs through Shopify, which is my platform for the store, but also through Pirate Ship, which is the side shipper I often use for international because it often comes up cheaper. And if I can get the shipping cheaper, you've already paid it, but if I can get it cheaper, I will do it cheaper. I promise you. And I will refund you the shipping if I end up not shipping it that way and shipping it in a way that I find is better. It's hard to do the math on that, and the Shopify calculator for shipping is linked to my Shopify store, right? I can't like download some weird widget from some third party. They don't allow that. But I just know in your minds, I promise you that when I'm shipping internationally, I will find the lowest price. And if it's lower than you paid, then you will definitely get the difference as a refund. I promise. So that'll be interesting, and that's coming out soon too. Karen, good to see you from sunny Black Forest, Colorado. And this morning I booked my flights to Colorado. So I will be there the 3rd week of February, and my man Teddy is coming with me. And I'm really looking forward to being there at the Guild and meeting everybody in person and getting some hugs. So I'm really looking forward to that. I booked both ways. We are all set. I'm very, very excited. A new friend logging on. Hello to you too, and welcome. And Dave says, some days the world is against you. Never, never surrender. A lot of days are like that. And I'll tell you, I don't know what it is. It's just mindset, isn't it? The older I get, the more I realize a lot of it is about mindset, because the things that used to upset me and get me in a real skid out when I was younger, even 6 months ago, are things that, like, at this moment, it's like duck's back water. Everything is just, I'm in a mindset where I have my eye on like my big goals and the big things that I'm trying to do right now, the magazine, and everything else just in comparison seems small. So it's interesting how that weird kind of tweak just happened without me realizing it. But I suppose the flip side is it could easily flip back, right? And then I go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs again. We'll see what happens and hope for the best. Judy says that will be such a trip for Teddy. He is beyond excited. But he is, he's a little bit worried because one of his main reasons for wanting to go out to Colorado His main reason is to take an airplane because he doesn't remember flying 2, 3, 4 times a year when he was little. He doesn't remember. So it'll be like the first plane ride that he remembers. He loves the idea of Colorado because the guys from South Park, right, that wrote South Park, are from Colorado. So that, I'm going to say it is one of my least favorite shows of all time, but he loves it. And so I guess there's some kind of little museum or something that I hope that we can go to. And there's also a very famous restaurant that they bought called Casa Benito or Benita. And you can't just make a reservation. You have to put in your name for an email thing. And it's like a lottery system. And they email you when you're allowed to make a reservation. So pretty much everybody I know in that area, which is only a few people, including me and Teddy and Rebecca and her husband and her son, put names in for email. And we're really hoping one of our names comes up because although Teddy knows that the guys from South Park aren't like the waiters or the cooks, he wants to go there desperately. So I'm really hoping that our number gets called before we fly out there and that we have the chance to make a reservation at this place that doesn't take reservations. Ain't life grand? Kathy, good to see you. Kathy, I have to follow up on the hooks. I haven't had a chance to do that yet. Good to see you. And it was nice talking to you yesterday. You know, that reminds me. I'm going to give a shout out right at the beginning because, Kathy, we were talking about this. And if you have time for this, I would love it. But I know you're busy and I know you work and I know life is busy. I wanted to talk to everybody about this for the first, second, third, 100th issue of Magpie Times as we roll along. One of the great ideas from Barbara, right, who gives me like tons of great ideas and so much great support. Huge shout out to you. Thank you. Barbara came up with the great idea of doing a travel feature for Magpie Times. And by travel feature, I was thinking something like this. Tell me what you think. Brainstorm with me. What if we did something that was like road trip? Now, remember, the magazine is not all rug hooking. There's also quilting and there's other fiber arts in there. There's going to be a great feature by this girl called Teresa Lyman who does dollhouse rugs that are not work, like candle wicking, but like almost looks like embroidery, like tiny dense patches. There's lots of different fiber arts in here that are not rug hooking, but strong emphasis on rug hooking, right? Because of Judy and I. What if we did a road trip section in every issue? And the idea was, for example, if you wanted to take a road trip and you were saying, I'm going to use Kathy as an example, I would love to check out the White Mountains in New Hampshire. Well, here's an article on the White Mountains, and it says, okay, so if you come to the White Mountains and, for example, you want to go rug hooking, this is the guild that's there. This is when they meet. Here are some stores you might like. This rug hooking store, this yarn store. Here's a craft store. Here's an antique mall. They often have rugs and cool stuff. Here's some other stuff to do. The Kankanackis Highway. Great places to stop. Fun place to eat, right? Coming from like a local point of view, I'd love it if anybody who's interested in writing an article like that would think about your destination. And if you're thinking, oh, I live in the middle of nowhere, like no one would want to come here, you might be wrong about that, right? You might be wrong. I want to go everywhere, right? Everything is on my bucket list. To go everywhere 100 times is on my bucket list, right? So think about things that are near you, even if it's like a short list of like, well, there's this cute tavern. We always go there on Fridays. It's always fun. Or there's this old diner. Man, it's good to have breakfast there. And then you can go to this shop and you can sit in the library. They have a room at the library, and that's a good place to work on your project. So atmospheric in there. Wherever you go, right, you can find your fun. So I want you to be thinking about that because even if more than one person is working on writing that feature at one time, it's possible for us to use 2 destinations in one issue since it's only 4 times a year. Or I can kind of use them as they come in and just have them on deck for future issues. But I think it would be fun because for us as hookers specifically, when I'm planning someplace, my first thought is, okay, well, I know the kids are going to be good because there's going to be a pool, but is there anything for me to do there? Like, what food place is going to really appeal to, well, it's kind of every food place, but, what kind of shopping could I do? Are there any antique stores where I might find some old rugs or maybe some old supplies or new old stock? If we could centralize our information and put this stuff together, if anyone's willing to do that kind of an article, that would be really appreciated. I think it's a great addition. Rita says, once we get back on the road, I can be a travel correspondent. That would be amazing. That would be amazing because you know that I stalk you on Facebook and I look at everything you post and it's all amazing and really inspiring. That'll be great. I will super look forward to that. Jane says, can we set up a paid subscription? Yes, but that's going to be a Judy thing. Um, sorry about Judy does all that stuff, so we're still figuring that part out. But that will be a yes long before it's time. That will be a yes for sometime in February, for sure. Um, Judy says, you can even collect more than one town in a region. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, oh, that's a great idea. You just made me think of I'm happy. It didn't seem like I was, but I'm happy. You made me think of the magazine, the British magazine called Home and Antiques. And I used to write for them years ago when I worked, when I lived in the Netherlands. I wrote for them. That was how I made a little bit of money on the side. And they would do a travel feature in every issue. And the first international feature they ever did was Amsterdam. And while I was living there, and the whole crew came to Amsterdam to photograph all of the artist palettes that I'd collected. And they took all these pictures inside our then apartment. And Teddy was a little tiny baby at that time. It was super, super fun. And then I ended up saying, oh, could I also try writing for you? And they allowed it. And I remember the first project I did for them. I was still living in Amsterdam, but it was antiquing on Cape Cod, right? Because it was an antiques magazine and decorating and stuff. So, and I thought, well, I know the Cape really well, and I did this great feature. I thought it was great on antiquing on the Cape. And out of the hundreds of antique stores they had, I put the ones I thought were the best and wrote a little paragraph about each one. And I painted this map that looked like an old time 1950s postcard. Took forever to do because it was so I thought it was adorable. I still have it, but they ended up not using it and doing a digital image instead. It's fine. But the map that they showed that they generated in the end was like the whole arm of the Cape, with a little line that showed multiple destinations with a little dot, and then it would say the Squire, right? Like the Squire Tavern, like great place for lunch, or whatever, or this, yarn store, or the White Cat rug hooking store. And it was like a little line that showed you either for, road tripping kind of big day out or like a weekend jaunt. It showed you all of the little stops that you could make. That I like that even better, right? To have like a visual too. And I could generate the visual on a map. My heart's beating really fast because I like that. I can tell I like an idea where my heart starts beating unnaturally fast. I think that'd be great. But yeah, let's think about that and think about it doesn't have to be the area where you live. It could be a place where you vacation and you think, I look forward to that all year because I do a clean sweep of all the yarn stores and I get all bags of supplies and, you know, or maybe there's like farms. Maybe there's farms or festivals at certain times of the year and you think I really look forward to that. I like to, I'd like it to combine um, things to do that involve shopping and getting supplies for fiber crafts, possibly like a little historic thing like a Sturbridge Village or a Strawberry Bank or something like that, right? Where you go and you learn some stuff and it like kind of appeals to people like many of us are who love history, love learning about like early crafts and arts and ways of doing things, right? Um, Good places to eat, anything really picturesque like a shoreline or a walk through the woods, all of that I think is super, super appealing, but it definitely gives people like a leg up when you approach somewhere you haven't been before and you think, yeah, that's definitely a weekend worth of fun for me. So, yeah, good. Let's do it. Let's do it. And for the moment, let's return to our look at the Wall Street Journal. Every time we look at this magazine, it gives me some new ideas, and you too, I bet. This is the issue I want to look at today, January, Volume 6, Number 4. Let me show you on here. That's probably a better here, right here. He moved, hold on. See, this is me. This is me being stupid. Hang on. Seriously? I can't even see how I did. Oh, there, I see it. I see it. All right, I see. Oh, Mama, how do you do these things? You know what? Oh, come on. Seriously? Okay, hang on. Sorry. Technical struggles. There it is. There it is. Okay. Unlock. There we go. Ooh, scared myself. I thought I might have lost the show. All right, there it is. So, Yeah, I had cropped it. What a ding dong. The Wall Street Journal. If you are joining us for the first time and you haven't been here for the last couple of episodes while we have been looking at this now defunct but truly wonderful, charming, inspiring, and cozy publication that was out in the early 2000s called the Wall Street Journal, an extraordinary magazine for rug hookers with heart. And as you can see, this issue is called Oh, Glorious Day. Really, really sweet. So let's look together at some of the content that's in this magazine, see if there's projects, ideas that you might be interested in. We're going to hold on that. Um, as soon as I open it, I kind of lose myself. This is just, when I look at the kinds of ads, right, that were in the magazine, a beauty like this always comes with these cute illustrations. You see the shopper at the bottom. This must be like what I look like when I go to Door Mill with the shopping cart and the pile of wool, right? How cute is that? Really, really good. I mean, even recognizing some of these patterns. But this was an ad for Heartland Rug Hooking Fiber Arts Festival. That happened in fall of 2007. Were you there? Did anybody go there? Gosh, they had a lot of pretty stuff. It looks like they had supplies and lots of rugs. And it says, "Pardon my wool dust" at the bottom. How cute is that? It continues. That I didn't even notice that. Oh wow, that continued to the back cover. I'm going to show you that a little bit later. Good Lord. How cute. Oh, this is an ad on the back cover for Wool Street. This is their feature called Wool Street Anywhere, USA. And this was Jay Wallaker's Kirkwood, Missouri. I feel like I've heard of them. I wonder if they're still in business. Established November 2005. Gosh, what a lot of fun. What a lot of eye candy, right? All of this great stuff. Really good. So anyway, let me get past the table of contents. Oh Glorious Day was designed by Lori Brecklin at Not Forgotten Farm and hooked by Debbie Myers. Color planned by Tina Ackerman of J. Woolakers. This is a design to gladden our hearts any day of the week. You can order this pattern from Not Forgotten Farm. Well, we know Not Forgotten Farm is still there because they have the Etsy store, and they are very busy on the Etsy store. Remind me who, oh, Charlotte, great to see you. Remind me who the rug hooking brand is that does the rug hooking version of the Not Forgotten Farm patterns. I know someone's going to know that. Rita, I bet you know that. I'm like a teacher who calls on people in class, right? You hear your name and, oh no. So really cute, getting right into this article. It always started with Bonnie's welcome letter, which is always super, super personal and sweet. And then it went to this huge feature called Rugs on the Road, where you could look up your town and see if they, look up your state, anything happening rug-wise. Now I'm looking at Connecticut. There's some oh no, still only Whispering Hill. I was looking because past issues, they probably had to pay to be part of this. I would guess, maybe not. But I see a lot of them, even from this era, thinking of the stores that were there in this era. Many of them are missing, like the one in Rhode Island, Sweet Briar, is still not here in this issue. So they didn't do a lot of advertising even back in the day. And you know Sweet Briar has closed in the meantime, which breaks my heart because I had been in touch with Chris, who was running it, and I really hoped that she would let me know if anything was going on because I wanted to keep that store going at all costs. It was right on the Connecticut-Rhode Island line in Hope Valley. And there were some Sweetbriar patterns that were obviously unique to the store. And I had a few of them that I bought that I want to hook sometime in the future when it's quiet and I can do that for fun for myself. But there were a lot more, and if I'd have known that they were closing, I would have gone and gotten all of them. I know I couldn't have offered them for sale because I wouldn't have had the sort of copyright or rights to them, but at least I would have known that I had more of them visually in my hands to track because, for example, that brand never came out with a catalog or anything finite other than their cookbook, which I have, that only has a handful of designs in it. That always makes me nervous because it's like somebody's life work, gone. And recipe page here, Maserat beef stew. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but just the cute way that they put out information here. right? Looking like little recipe cards that would fit into a little metal index box. Remember those? I mean, it's how do you keep your recipes now? Isn't that's an interesting subject in and of itself because I have some blank books with some recipes. I'm not a big cook either, but I have some family recipes that I've literally written into a blank book for that purpose. But that would be an interesting subject through time, how people store their recipes, because it really is kind of like a mid-century thing to keep them in on index cards inside one of those little metal boxes. Remember, it's so much fun to find those things at antique stores and stuff because it's someone's collection of great recipes. But before then, people were writing them mostly in the margins of existing cookbooks or clipping them out of magazines and just using them as bookmarks in existing cookbooks. Interesting, isn't it? Kathy, it is. And I'm not going to forget that you're looking for them, right? As soon as we have time to go through them thoroughly, because I know I have more somewhere else too, I'm not going to forget that you are really looking for these and that you love this, because you are going to love this. Um, it is great. Now, this one is called Feeding the Chickens. This is also a not forgotten farm. I'm going to show it to you here as the visual. So, sorry, the photographs are not always great. I took them with my camera at the end of the day, the other day, and I was a little bit rushed. But you can see, I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you here. It might be better. Hold on, let me get to that page. Feeding the chickens is a not forgotten farm pattern, and it is, where did it go? It's right here. Do you put all your eggs in one basket? It says. How cute is that? Right. So that's a super primitive design. And it looks like it's all wool applique, which was very not forgotten farm. And as usual in Rug Hooking Magazine, they say when instead of saying supplies needed, it says needfuls for all of the articles. I think that just adds such a nice touch to it. And then all of the little pieces that one would need to make, the needfuls, to make that particular pattern. So obviously you could do it in that colorway, the same way, or change it up, right? So all of and it's copyright restriction, one-time use, it would say, but it was super gracious of people to be contributing this much to the magazine. This is a page I sometimes skip over. This is a feature that Wall Street Journal started a little ways into the publication. It wasn't, I don't think it was starting in the first issue, but it was just a one-page thing that was called Musings and reflections, thoughts, deliberations, that kind of thing. And they would put in all kinds of quotes with little bits of clip art meant to inspire you. So a bit of the whole magazine is a potpourri, right? For example, there are some nice, I was going to lean against my green screen, but it might mess up my snow. Some of them are new, some of them are old. This one says, angels are messengers, but sometimes we misunderstand their language. That's a quote by Linda Salgado. Ever felt an angel's breath in the gentle breeze, a teardrop in the falling rain, hear a whisper amongst the rustle of leaves, or been kissed by a lone snowflake? Nature is an angel's favorite hiding place. So pretty. That's Carrie Latet or Latet. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. And that's from Hebrews 13:2. That's a famous, the idea of entertaining strangers or and them being angels but not knowing it. It's a famous one. I remember when I was in college in theater school, one of the plays that I worked on with the costumes was called Entertaining Strangers, and that quote was like the overarching like backbone to the whole play. It was very heavy, but so cute. A pillow for thee will I bring, stuffed with down of angel's wing. Richard Crashaw. That is an old poet. There's lines from like Longfellow, Horace Mann, Fanny Crosby, angels descending, bring from above echoes of mercy, whispers of love, Fanny J. Crosby, Emily Dickinson. I mean, it's just so nice to have that page full of quotes that might jog something or be especially meaningful, right, from one day to the next. And also loaded with amazing articles like this one. I'm going to give you the gist of this one here. Making an honest rug, right? It's the cute borders around everything. Really, really is something, isn't it? This is by Bonnie Smith. Kathy says, seems like such a wonderful. And Kathy says, me either. My husband says the only time I open the oven door is to vacuum. Yeah, it's just so much. It's so much. And I have to admit, I'm trying to do the stupid Mediterranean diet, which is not stupid. It's very good because the doctor told me everything is wrong. So, and I have to say, for some, the good thing about being a giant hog is that I like everything. So if they say to me, like, do the margarine stuff or whatever, oil instead of butter, it's like, all right, well, I like that too. And it's like, can you do the wheat bagels instead of like the white bagels, the whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead? And it's like, yeah, I can do the wheat bagels. That's fine. The wheat English muffins. That's fine. I know I'm not supposed to have a ton of carbs, but making little changes. It has to be baby steps. But when you like everything that is edible, it makes it easy to switch your diet a little bit. Making an Honest Rug by Bonnie Smith. I first began thinking about this because I needed a subject for an upcoming lecture. Most of the folks attending were seasoned rug hookers. So I wanted to give them something that came from the heart rather than from my head. A right heart often precedes a right head. I can't remember where I was when I heard that the first time, but it has stuck with me. I think that is especially true when it comes to creative endeavors. It is not easy to listen to your heart every minute. Heart thoughts are often crowded out or reasoned away. Isn't that true? I also once heard this: busyness is the enemy of creativity. That must be true too. I've never heard that. For me, that is. You hear that? Okay, we'll just give that a minute. We'll give the demon a minute to pass us over or rip the roof off, one or the other. For me, that is completely true. I must go to a place where I can be all alone to get a clear picture of what my heart is trying to tell me. After all, it is no secret to any of us that we have everything we need to find answers on a personal level. I have a strategy that works for me: the process of elimination. I begin with what I know for sure that I don't like. Fine hooking. Hooking teensy-weensy strips definitely does not work for me. I love details. I love details when I do my art, but I like simple lines when I'm hooking a rug. Plain and simple. Actually, a primitive rug is my honest rug. It is who I am, no pretense. Just like making up a new recipe, creating a rug from scratch gives me a great deal of satisfaction. One way that I know there is a recipe for a rug simmering in my heart is that I can't get it off my mind. I have seen something somewhere that sparked my imagination, that created a vision. It is a must-have rug. So I make an effort to find time, all the time it takes, to get quiet and to listen. Of course, the place to begin is with an idea, the design. What best describes my mood? Is it flowers, animals, an outdoor scene, maybe a geometric? What do I need to hook to make me complete? It does not matter in the least what the subject is as long as it is what I am longing for right now. Pick something that doesn't conflict in any way with where you are in this space and time. Work it out. Paper and pencil and an eraser. This is often a stretch in a process that most of us would rather just avoid or skip, and skip to the wool part. Well, you can. There are tons of folks who have done this part for you, meaning making the pattern. Get out the pattern catalogs. For those of us who are more serious about making it your own, we must travel the road of transferring our thoughts onto paper. You can get ideas by looking at pattern catalogs. It's the only way to know what you love, but never ever copy and call it your own. Even changing percentages is strictly taboo. Nobody ever stole half an apple. That's a great point, isn't it? Because if you're looking at half the apple, you know what the other half looks at. That in part is true, right? It's true for a single motif. But I do think that you can mix and match backgrounds. You know how I feel about copyright, right? That everybody who thinks that they have a new idea in terms of design is absolutely wrong, because there is nothing new under the sun. People's lines are their own, right? And if you copy something very carefully um, to be aligned with what you're looking at, that is a problem. But for example, the idea of a cat in a field of flowers, that is not copyrighted. If you like styles of flowers that you see here and you put those on the ground and you choose a cat that reminds you of, I don't know, a laurel birch or whatever, what's her name, Margaret Ivory, all the people who have done famous cats over the years, right? You want to be very, very careful, even if you're piecemealing it, right? You don't want to just poach from two people and have it be identical. But you can certainly take inspiration from other places, and don't let anybody talk you into the idea that a certain, other than Disney, that a certain idea is copyrighted, right? Disney can do that, but individuals really cannot do that. I'm not sure that that's viable, even so, right? Even with the big D. I'm going to say something else on that in a little while. You can get ideas like that is the honest part, starting from scratch. You will feel better, trust me. Our hearts can tell on us. The whole idea is that it belongs to you alone. Your confidence will grow and grow. There's nothing like a one-of-a-kind rug, honestly. What a great article that was, right? I mean, she's making a lot of good points, right? And it's not going to help people who are like, no, really, I wouldn't enjoy designing a rug. It's not going to help that group of people. That group of people really, the fun for that group of people, right, is like finding the right rug, right? I don't enjoy sewing clothing anymore. I did that for way too long. I don't enjoy it anymore. But I do enjoy finding it, right? And I used to enjoy looking through catalogs to find it. Same idea, right? You don't have to do everything on your own. Just because you like cooking doesn't mean that you also like to design. You might love looking at images of other people's designs and choosing one of those. That might be your fun, right? So that article is really for people who feel like you have something to express and you have the confidence to do a design that you feel is going to be worth your time and worth the supplies that are going to go into making it, right? So that has to be a fit for you on both levels. I am all for people doing their own designing, but I understand also that people don't always want to, right? Birds of a feather rug hookers. Oh, interesting. Okay, let's see what this is. Let me see what my next item is for you here in terms of a visual. That was the Not Forgotten Farm, and then we are, oh, interesting. Okay, let's see. Birds of a feather. That's not birds of a feather, is it? Let me see. You know, let me hold on that. We're going to come back to that. You know what? Let me keep going. I know I'm going to figure out what that refers to. See, the thing with this publication is that all of the pages are black and white until we get to the middle. And then in the middle, there's a bunch of pages, maybe there's 4 pages that are in color. And those are the pages that you have to refer to in the article. So it sometimes says, go check on such and such a page for like the finished version of it. And in that way, it can be a little bit confusing, but not confusing enough to not enjoy it immensely. This nice page I just missed, diversions, an activity that diverts, amuses, and stimulates. Romance, so a color called romance. Okay, interesting. Wait a minute. I wonder if they are, that's Hollyhock Designs. I wonder if they're giving us that color. Let's see. Perhaps not. Oh, no, this is it. That's what I was wanting to show you. So this page refers to, this is Hollyhock's design, so they would allow a company to, and I think this is really good policy, this is close to what I'm trying to do with Magpie, is allow only advertising from people who are adding content to the magazine, not just random advertising taking over the magazine like the Blob. Oh, Helene, great to see you. Good morning. Good afternoon. So, for example, this page refers to a typed page that's called Diversions, and the color that they made is called Romance, which is this purpley color. Whoa, that was scary. Which is this purpley color, and it is based on Cushing dyes, the Cushing dye system, a 1/4 tablespoon of cardinal, a 1/16 tablespoon of black, a 1/16 tablespoon of tan, and a half yarn of wool makes this beautiful color. So that was present in this article, and then it tells you how to dye, but specifically for this color. And then on the corresponding page, you're seeing a basket with all of these colors of the Romance purple over it. you're seeing an example of a sheep rug with a little bit of the romance color in the border, and then up in the ad, you're seeing the color romance in two of the rugs that they're showing you, right? Isn't it smart? I mean, to me, this makes perfect sense. It is more. I think the reason this magazine appeals to me so much is because there is a little bit of flipping back and forth. It's a bit of a game, a project, you know, and that really appeals to me because I am from a generation where I don't expect information to be right there. I don't expect life to work like that. I don't want you to tell me the answer to something in one sentence because it's fastest. I want 2 pages, right? I'm still from that generation. I know a lot of you are too. It is the generation that my kids are participating in that scares me because they, you know, if they can't get an answer in literally 1 second, their brains move on, and it's like, uh-oh, that's we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We had one of those last night in bed where Joss was like, oh, you know, it's like bedtime. Oh, I was supposed to read a book, you know, so that I can write a little bit on it at night. Oh, well, that's fantastic. Why didn't we talk about this an hour ago, you know? Because it was bedtime at that point. And she, oh, I want my Serafina book. And I said, well, then get up and find it. You know, I'm not going to I'm not going to get out of bed to be looking around for a book for you. So, she made like a crazy fuss, and she ended up sliding off the side of the bed and having an accident and hitting her head. Classic nighttime shenanigans. But at the end of the day, I didn't get the book, and she couldn't find the book in 10 seconds, so she chose another book. And it was all fine, but the thought went through my head, like, you know, is it that difficult to like search for something until you find it? Is that like something that we don't do anymore? Look for something specific because we didn't find it in the first 30 seconds? I didn't make a thing out of it because it was bedtime and I was tired too. But in my mind, it kind of is a thing, you know. Good things take time, don't they? So I'm just kind of shooting through, looking at some of the other images in this issue that are just lovely. Let's look at this one. My Heart Takes Wings. Oh yeah, let's look at this one. Let me see what this corresponds to. Hang on just a second. So you can see this is by Kim Moore, Hooking for Therapy. Kim with 2 M's Moore. And she puts in Lady Liberty, which was designed by Black Sheep Wool Studios, and hooked by Kim. This rug brings to mind remembrances of long, sad travels to and from New York to visit my grandfather during the last days of his life. It also evokes memories of a happier time when he made yearly summer visits to Virginia. Oh, man. And then the second, oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm on the wrong page. Let me show you the one that I was just talking about. This one, the Lady Liberty. I guess that's like is evocative of the sort of Statue of Liberty, right? Kind of Lady Liberty, making those trips to New York, probably one of the hospitals there, right? I had that too. That's where my dad had heart surgery. When he had so many heart problems, we went back and forth about 1,000,000 times to, I forget what the name of the hospital is, but right off the, you know, right coming through Brooklyn, right off the highway right there. It's one of those big ones. Dr. Oz was his surgeon back in the day. Dr. Oz is very different nowadays, but that was his surgeon. And second one, Anniversary by Kim Moore. I'm going to see if this content refers to a specific article. This is obviously done in 1990. And this one with the ducks, right? What does she say of that? She says, this rug commemorates our 10th wedding anniversary. Our initials adorn the corners, and the birds represent us. The berries are our 2 children. Many lovely memories are brought to mind when I see this rug. It is also a sharp reminder of how quickly time passes. Isn't that beautiful? Both of these rugs of Kim's were so worthy of being on one of the precious all-color pages, right? Let me see. I want to see what I was finding for you earlier. My Heart Takes Wings. Let's see if I can find that. Let's look at that together if we can. My Heart Takes Wings. Don't let me forget that that's what I'm looking for. Let's see. Oh, there's more than 4 pages in the center. Gee Willikers. Oh, we'll look at that too. Yeah, I don't see that My Heart Takes Wings, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. I don't think there's a text page that corresponds to this. This is very pretty though. A little Valentine pillow with a pocket to tuck an invitation in. It could read, "Meet me on the sofa for popcorn and a movie." Or, "Happy days, sweetheart," on a tray with breakfast in bed. And it says about a little box with a button lid. Oh, okay, so that first one I think is on, oh no, that first one's on a pillow with a little bit of cotton ticking. But you can see the imagery in this catalog. Let me make this a little bit larger for you because these images really are beyond precious. Hold on one second. I'm going to unlock and resize. There we go. So you see this is miniature needle punched. I should have come out of the gate with that. This is mini needle punching. And look at this beautiful vignette. I mean, that looks like the Valdani thread and little antique pillow, little character, maybe like the standing on the house, like a little resin or dough character or something. So a cute primitive vignette, some DMC flosses. And then I don't know what that hexagon thing is with all the buttons, but man, is that pretty. So pretty, such a pretty thing. Oh, this isn't here. It's on page, this is from Kindred Spirits. And this was on page 24. Let me see what I can tell you about this. Oh, okay, yep. No, okay. No, but you know what's on this page? Let me show you. This is what's on the page it corresponds to. It's a big ad. This is actually a great ad. This, I mean, how effective is this as opposed to a small ad? It shows you so many different things that Kindred Spirits sold, from their foldable frame to three-dimensional stuff to materials, supplies, little scissor pack or needle pack. I mean, how cute is that? Yeah, I could look at any magazine that features those kinds of ads. That is so cute. Let me see what our next thing is here before we move on. Oh, you know what this was? This was neat. I'm looking at, you see the paisley at the bottom of this. Now, I thought I saw, yes. So there is an article that corresponds to, just look at the bottom half of the page. You see the paisley designs there and a little bit of paisley. And there is an article. Now, this can happen. I'll show you that again in a second. This can happen. I'm not seeing who wrote the article. You know, I think it's Rock Creek Rugs. This is what I'm looking at. And you see how there's no author line, but you see how there's the ad down here at the bottom of this page that says Rock Creek Rugs, right? So I think it's coming from a store. Faux paisley. You can create the effect of an older new paisley shawl to hook the center of flowers or anything really. Okay, so this is, get ready, there's going to be a directive here. Make a vinegar bath of half a cup of vinegar and enough warm water to cover your wool. Immerse your wool and soak for an hour. Drain and place the wool on a surface that is protected by plastic. In a separate heat-resistant jar, mix and dissolve 1/8 to 1/4 tablespoon of dye into 1 cup boiling water. Choose as many colors as you want. These would all be in separate jars, though. Pour each color into heat-resistant squeeze bottles. Okay, like the hairdresser bottles that I use now. Remember, whenever I do my dyeing classes, I use the squirt bottles. Squirt bottles are going to work great for this. Or mason jars. Draw your paisley pattern design onto the wool by gently and slowly squeezing the bottle. Let the colors set for a couple of minutes. Roll plastic and wool up and place in a flat plastic container that is never used for food. Microwave for 3 to 5 minutes. Cool and rinse. Worth the effort. I am so confused. Now, hang on a second. Let's come back over here and look at this image. Now, okay, hang on. I think that this is the image that corresponds. I might be wrong, but hang on. I'm going to see what's going on here. Let me unlock this. There we go. And boop, boop, boop. Let's stretch this out. I might have marblehead-itis right now that I'm not understanding because I'm looking at actual paisley. So maybe I'm thinking that in this case, these look like rugs that are hooked with actual paisley. I cannot be mistaking that, right? And she's doing faux paisley. Man, do I ever wish that there was an image of this. but there's not. There's not. Let me double check, but I don't think there is. I guess it's going to be a question of doing that technique. Um, Now, hold on. So let's just think this through. If we have wool out and a bunch of different colors in, for example, squeeze squirt bottles, um, and we're drawing a paisley design, I see. I think we're just drawing something with paisley lines with colored dye, so it's multicolored, but then we're not going to hook with it, right? Do you think that's where they're going with this too? Then we're not going to hook with it. I see. You know, as soon as I feel like I'm in a good place and I figured a couple more things out, hopefully over the weekend, long weekend this weekend, I think I'm going to try doing this just for fun. Because in the last dye class, I also showed using those hollow tip pens. They're almost like calligraphy pens, but with a hollow well in the center and different types of brushes. You can actually put dye into those and do much finer work with them. So let me figure that one out. But I think what they're doing is they're coloring, hand coloring a piece of wool in a paisley pattern to use for wool applique. Doesn't that make more sense? And I think it would work best if, for example, you weren't doing it on white, but you were doing it on a classic paisley color like a tomato soup color, or even like a soft pinky brick color, right? Like a little soft pinky terracotta. Yeah, Rita says yes. That's the only thing that makes sense. It's funny because then the article right adjacent to it is Paisley Points, and that is actually about hooking with Paisley. Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O. All right, we got there in the end. Oh, and this cute thing too. Let's look at this cute thing too. This is another really sweet item. Still beautiful, this image, still beautiful. Just not exactly, okay, not exactly what we were talking about. There is this cute Snowy Pines winter bag too. I think that I think they showed that. Let's see. Snowy Pines winter bag. I'm just going to show you the pages. Yeah, I'm just going to show you the color pages so you can kind of follow along. Let's do that. Let's do that. That makes more sense. Yeah, let's just enjoy. These are some of the other features. Okay, this is the Snowy, yes, this is the Snowy Pines winter bag, and this was actually a wool felting project. So these collage pages, I do love this magazine, but I have to say sometimes the collage pages, they are super eye candy, but sometimes for me they're visually confusing. That could be an spaghetti-o on my part, but for me I get sometimes confused. But what we're looking at is this single image that is of like a tote bag, and it has felted trees on it, right? And the felted trees appear in the issue. Like, I know this is here, so hang on. I'm going to show you what they look like, because then you'll go, uh-oh, spaghetti-o. Hold on one second. I'm not giving up. Now I'm going to drive over another cone metaphorically before here they are. Right, so they look like that, but they're felted in the design that's just in the pattern that's described for this tote. Because you know, in this magazine, they do a lot of things. We saw the pillow with the pocket, with the mini punch pocket. We're seeing a tote. They're showing you a lot of things that are projects that are not two-dimensional projects. A great ad, Minnick and Simpson, Polly Minnick wrote the other day and asked if I had reviewed one of her books, and I did. I guess she was just finding it on the YouTube channel. I think I've reviewed all of her books because she is one of my favorites too. They are showing some color images for the hooking with paisley, the paisley points, but not the colorful one that we were talking about. And lots of beautiful ads. The ads themselves are incredible eye candy. Wait till you see this. Primitive Profile by Bonnie Smith. Pat Saliga. I hope I'm saying that right. Just a few steps from the back door of the main house was a rug hooking studio. See page 36. So this must be about a specific hooker. I wonder if anybody knows her. So there's a whole last page profile on Pat Saliga. I met Pat for the first time in the summer of 2007. She was a student in my class when I was teaching at our daughter Tina's rug hooking shop, Jay Woolliker's, Kirkwood, Montana. Tina had spoke fondly and often of her newfound friend. Okay, so this whole, look at this whole feature is on Pat. All these beautiful photos of rugs she's done, her herself at her house. I think this is an Edward Sands frost rug up here. So probably some original patterns and some commercial, just beautiful work. But what a wonderful tribute to someone um, special like that, right? A special person in a special issue. And let me see, there was one other thing I wanted to, there's the paisley again, hang on. And there's the bag, and there's the trees, the wet felted. So that the trees were actually wet felted, not just dry needle felted, but wet felted. And there's something else I want. Oh, you know, this is interesting. There's still in this issue in 2008 an ad for Ridemer Hurst Field. Unexpected, right? I mean, that is around the time that they closed the doors, but interesting. That really caught my eye. Making good rugs together. Max goes to the groomer. So there was a little feature that they did because, you know, Max is like the logo for this magazine. Remember from the first issue, people started hooking Max the cat in different ways. This is a three-dimensional one. He appears in vignettes in previous issues that we've looked at together, but he goes to the groomer. So he's actually getting washed and maybe put back together kind of a thing. There's a whole article on that. I don't know what happened to Max, but if you live in a house like I do, you know anything can happen. The most extravagant, people can fall out of bed for absolutely no reason at 11:30 at night. Color inspiration in your closet. Now that's going to be a good one too. I'm going to stop in a minute, but this was an article by Chris Miller of Spruce Ridge Studios. Have you ever been excited to start a new rug hooking project, but were unsure of your color plan? It is a dilemma that all rug hookers face at one time or another. Maybe it's time that you opened your closet and took a peek inside. Several years ago, I attended a large rug exhibit. I noticed one of my friends circling around and around, spending a great deal of time studying each and every primitive rug. When our paths finally crossed, we both stopped in front of an impressive wide-cut rug. My friend found it exceptionally appealing because the hooked colors appeared to be old, warm, and inviting. She told me that she'd recently purchased a pattern with large lovely flowers in a basket and was excited to begin hooking it right away. But picking the colors seemed daunting to her and had prevented her from getting started so far. As she described the colors she liked and that made her happy, she began to examine the jacket. I began to examine the jacket that she was wearing. "Susan," I exclaimed, "did you know that you're wearing the same colors that you've been talking about?" I was somewhat of an anxious student at rug camps last May. I, too, had chosen a large pattern depicting distinctively shaped flowers with leggy stems sprouting from a primitive basket. I had been totally puzzled over what to choose as a color plan. Along with the teacher's guidance, I returned to my chair with a large stock of wool in glowing hues. As I eagerly hooked my flowers, I began to think about the colors that were building in my rug. "That's odd," I mused. "These colors don't seem to be my usual color palette." I had not said this out loud. It was just a thought in my head. At that very same moment, one of my friends leaned over and said, "Oh my gosh, Chris, your flower colors match your blouse." And it was true. The same colors that I originally thought were odd composed the hues of my favorite shirt: orange, fuchsia, mahogany, browns, and turquoise blues. The colors were all striped in a way that made it appealing to wear, and now I was hooking them. These colors were soft, familiar old friends that I wore quite regularly and made me feel comfortable. I'm not going to read the end of it because we're also quite late, but I think that is a fantastic article. And it's funny because it's so true, isn't it? The colors that you like, you have already chosen for your clothing or your walls or your curtains or your furniture. You've already chosen the colors that you like. So when you're approaching a project that doesn't include a lot of literal cues, for example, if I'm approaching a project where there's like a bunch of sheep in a field with an old barn, I might not go to an all fuchsia mahogany turquoise blue palette, right? Unless I want to do something that's not at all literal. But often with figural rugs, you want to do something that's quite literal. If you're doing something abstract or something like a flower basket, you can go off on any kind of a bender you want. And that's the time to, instead of start thinking about what should I color plan, where's my color wheel gone, maybe that's the time to start thinking, I don't literally need to have any colors in this, right? The basket doesn't have to be brown. The stems don't have to be green. Nothing has to be what it seems. Things are not quite as they seem when skim milk masquerades as cream. I don't know why Gilbert and Sullivan just spoke through me, but sometimes it happens. So in these instances, when you're doing something where you have a little bit of wiggle room, it does make sense to think about those piles of colors maybe you have of wool that you go, oh, I'm not going to separate these because it's like magic when they're together, but I don't know what I can hook with them. Right? I have many of those sitting around the studio. I'd go for a pile like that when I'm hooking something that doesn't need any one particular color that you have to match it to, like brown for a basket or green for a field or blue for the sea, right? Those are the times to go putting together your ultimate, right, greatest hits of the Golden Hits collection, your top 10 or your top 20 faves of all time colors. And maybe a good way to do that is to go in your closet and look at your favorite shirt, your favorite sweater that you wear all the time, because it might be made up of your favorite colors. And then go to your workroom and look for the equivalents of those colors, or think about dyeing those colors, or log on to Ribbon Candy Hooking and shop for those colors. All right, let's do it. I got a lot of other stuff to do today. I'm popping out patterns like orders like crazy, and I got to work on some patterns. I know some people are waiting for patterns to hook that you would like to hook for Magpie Times. I've got another big overarching thing happening later this afternoon that I will put out later this afternoon. But I will remind you that the Design Like an Artist book is out. Is not out. It is about to be out, and it will go out to book club members of Rug Cooking Magazine. So if you are in Rug Cooking Magazine's book club, you will receive my book next. It is on deck. But if you are not, you can order a copy from Ribbon Candy Hooking, right? It's there in our Facebook group and also on the Ribbon Candy Hooking website, right on front. Even if you are in the book club, but you want another copy for your library or for a friend, that's the place to get it for now, because it will go out to book club members and then there will be a pause. I don't know for how long, where it won't be available at all for a while. So I am getting into that window and grabbing as many as I can to fill that gap before they start putting it into their store and having it available for people outside of the group. That is the wrinkle in time that I am weaseling into, where the book is nowhere for a little while. So you are able to get it there, and definitely look at Ribbon Kit at Rug Cooking and Punch Needle Club on Facebook later if you're on. I'll also put it on YouTube. I'm going to show you another project that I'm working on that relates to Magpie Times. That's a Big 2P Continued. That is for later. Coming up on Friday. What are we doing on Friday? Gosh. Let me think on that. I'm going to think on that. If you have an idea for Friday, let me know. We could do a gallery night. I was going to say we could do a crossword, but I don't think I have the time to put that together. We could do a looking at antique rugs night. Let me think on it. If you have a great idea, let me know. Could do an interview night with someone. That might be a good idea too. Interesting. All right, let's think on that. I plan to have a show for you Friday. In any case, I'll certainly have a weekend show. It is a long weekend, but I should be around on Friday. We should have a show. Always tune in to see what the latest news is. Things are happening. Many things are dropping a day right now at Ribbon Candy Hooking. So if you need any information or clarification, or you're looking to send me some stuff for Magpie Times, go ahead and send it to me either through Facebook personally, right? I don't like the Ribbon Candy Hooking page on Facebook because more people use Rug Cooking and Punch Needle Club. But the best place, I guess, to reach me is ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. And otherwise, I will see you on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And have a great Thursday in the meantime. It was great seeing everybody. Huge shout out and thank you to Patreon members for your support. I am sorry I've forgotten in the last couple episodes to say a huge thank you for those of you who support the brand through Patreon. Now is the time for all good men. I'm full of quotes today. It's something weird is happening. But I really appreciate your support, particularly right now with us mounting something that is expensive. I will see you all on Friday. Have a great afternoon and a great tomorrow. Interview with Chris Miller. Ooh, Rita, that's interesting. Oh my gosh, I missed some comments. I am so sorry. Helene, do you use Prochem for your dyes? Helene, I use Prochem often, and I also use Dharma, and I also use Cushing. And I'm going to say my favorite dyes are the Dharma dyes. My second, my not in terms of quality. In terms of quality, I think they're all great. I think they're all on a par with each other. Dharma has the most colors, and my favorite colors seem to be in the Dharma line. I love Prochem. I think they're a little bit stronger, um, but they don't have quite as many colors. I love the quality, and I love Cushing. I always struggle with the packaging of Cushing because I wear a mask now when I dye. I didn't for a long time, but I do now. But yeah, I don't like the packets. That's my only thing because I do love the colors. So I use all three, but I tend to reach for my Dharma dyes, I would say more than 90% of the time. Charlotte says, I looked at what she was wearing and said, look at what you're wearing. She was dressed in lovely colors. Oh, I looked at what she was wearing and said, look. Oh, are you following along? I did that one. Oh, you're kidding me. I did that one with I wait a minute. I did that with the one shop woman who was confused and shopping at a. Oh, you're kidding me. You're kidding. How fun is that? I looked at what she was wearing and said, "Oh, okay. So this is a similar story. This happened to you too, where you noticed that someone was wearing something that matched the color palette. That is so funny. See, it's a thing. It's a thing. And until I read this in Wall Street Journal, it never occurred to me to look at people and say, well, you know what colors you like? I know what colors you like. That is so funny. Rita, I think I will. I think I will follow up on that. I'm going to try to get in touch with her after the show. Actually, that's a great solution. And Charlotte says, "Is my Van Gogh in your book?" Yes, it is. It is in there. It looks beautiful too. It's right now on a page with two other things, and I think they might be rejigging that page because I had some feedback on that page because I had the original Flower Fields and then I had yours. So I'm hoping that they kind of fine tune that page, but it is absolutely in there. I will read it. I think I'll write to her right now. I'm going to sit down, stay down, and write to her before I forget. That's a great idea. I will see you all on Friday night with a big question.